Hey, what's going on? Thanks for checking out the Aaron Advantage. If you're buying or selling a home in Indiana, chances are you're probably going to close at a title company. Today, I'm going to meet with Leah Brown at Regional Title Services to give you a little behind the scenes look on what title companies do and why you should use one. Hey, as I mentioned, I am here today with Leah Brown at Regional Title Services. She's going to let us know some great information on what title companies do and how they protect buyers and sellers. So first off, Leah, why don't you tell me a little bit about Regional Title and kind of what your role is here?
Sure. Well, good morning. It's a great day to talk about title insurance.
Every day is.
Every day is. And it really can be a fun and exciting subject to talk about. Here at Regional Title, we do closing services and title services.
Okay.
So we will actually conduct your real estate closing as well as making sure that you have clear title to the property that you're purchasing.
That's absolutely something that's definitely an important process of buying a home. Now, as far as getting clear title, how do you kind of go about making sure the title is clear before we transfer it from a seller to a buyer?
Well, here at Regional Title, we have our own title department that is right here in this building. So our employees are our searchers and our title examiners. So that gives us more control over the product that we're putting out.
Okay.
We actually search the property. So we go through all of the public records, see what types of loans or liens, previous owners. We find the tax records, find out if there are any property taxes owed, the property parcel number. All of that, we compile all of this information. We have it examined by our title examiner, and they let us know what needs to be done to clear title on that property.
Man, that's a lot of stuff that goes into basically every transaction that you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that happens behind the scenes, really, I mean, we're sitting in one of your closing rooms right now.
Right.
I've been in here with a lot of buyers and sellers many times, and they just sit here and they're like, oh, cool, closing, this is all they do here. And I'm like, no, there's a lot more that goes into it behind the scenes. I know something that comes up when you're doing those title searches is, you know, there's judgments that might come up against the seller or maybe a previous owner or something like that. Can you kind of tell us what you guys do to find that, as well as what you might have to do to go about clearing those up to make sure everything's good to go?
Well, we do clear any judgments or any liens on the property. When your customer gets to the closing and doesn't know what's going on in the background, that means we've done a pretty good job.
Absolutely.
So we want every transaction to be a smooth, happy transaction for the customer. When you're here, you're either buying or selling a home, and that's an exciting time and a happy time. So
Right.
that's what we want our customer to feel when they come to Regional Title.
Excellent.
We do take care of clearing all of the loans or liens. We provide title insurance on the property.
Okay, title insurance. That's a whole subject in and of itself.
It is.
Can you explain kind of what title insurance is? I know there's a couple different types of policies. Can you just give us a brief overview of what goes into title insurance?
Absolutely. Title insurance really provides peace of mind. You're purchasing your probably largest investment that you're ever going to purchase is probably going to be your home.
Right.
So you don't want to inherit anyone else's debt
Right.
or any problems with that property. Title insurance ensures clear title. It ensures the owner or lender or both on that property against any defects in the title.
Gotcha. So you mentioned the lender
Yes.
being insured on that as well. So you guys are pretty much in close communication with the lender during the process, or throughout the process too, I'm assuming. So kind of how does that all work? Once I bring a buyer to a property, say I write the purchase agreement, we're working with the lender, getting the loan going. You guys are kind of working in the background together too. What does that look like?
We work very closely with our lenders. They actually send us the money or that to purchase the property. If there's a loan involved, they send us all of the information to put on the closing disclosure, which is the document that will be signed at closing that shows all of the numbers involved in the closing.
The fun one that I get to explain on a daily basis.
That's correct, yes. And so we put that together with the lender. We receive the lender package, so everything that gets signed At the closing, that's provided by the lender, the mortgage, all of their documents are sent to us from the lender. So we work very closely with them throughout the entire process.
Right. And like you said, a lot of people don't realize that happens at all, which means you're doing a good job, because if it's quiet, that's something that means there's no problems that we're having to take care of.
Correct.
Another thing that I know that happens with the title companies, obviously, is the closing. You mentioned closing services.
Yes.
Kind of go through what happens from point A to point Z of actually having the closing and what you guys do at that point.
Okay, well, the first thing, we receive a purchase agreement, either from a lender or a buyer-seller, and we receive that purchase agreement, and we take that information in the purchase agreement and we search the property.
Okay.
So we do the title search, and all of that information is examined and then put into something called a title commitment. That title commitment does list anything that we find on the property.
Right.
It shows the parcel ID number, it shows the current owner of the property, shows if there are any property taxes owed, and if there are any liens against the title of the property. All of that is on that commitment. That's something that we type up and we can share with the real estate agent or the customer. If that's something that they would like to review. When we send that, we're not asking you to clear that title. We're just simply sending that to you.
Here's the information.
Yes,
right.
For informational purposes, and that's what we're working on. Now, we have a very quick turnaround time here at Regional Title. From the time we receive your purchase agreement to having that commitment typed is typically 3 business days.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. I know that anytime I've been in a pinch and something gets missed or something, I know Regional's got my back on that I call them up, they knock it out of the park every time. That's fantastic. So now day of closing comes up. Now with new lending regulations, we know 3 days in advance when the closing is going to be, what time it's going to be, the location.
Yes.
When we're actually scheduling the closing, I know there's money that has to change hands and all that stuff. How do you guys handle all of that as far as dispersing funds and all of those things that go on with that?
We have a closing coordinator that takes care of scheduling the closing with all of the parties. And then we work with the lender on sending that wire for the closing to take place.
I want to stop you right there.
Okay.
Wire is an important thing to talk about right
Yes.
now, especially because many people don't know this, but in Indiana, $10,000 or more at the closing means it has to be wired in prior to the closing versus bringing a cashier's check. Cash, personal check, all those things are things people don't realize has to happen. So with that wire, how do you guys handle getting the money wired in and all of the stuff that goes on there?
That's a good point. It's called the Good Funds Law, and so anything over $10,000 does have to be wired, even if it's the buyer bringing their own funds. If it's over $10,000, they do have to do that in a wire transfer. So that's something that your bank does take care of. They send it here to Regional Title, and then we disperse all of the checks from there. So we take care of all of the financial part of the transaction as well.
Excellent. Yeah, that's something I definitely wanted to talk about because people don't realize how much goes on there, and the fact that you guys do a great job of getting the information directly to the consumer. Comes encrypted, so they know it's going to the right people, and you protect their funds to make sure it's all going to the right places. So once we actually have the closing scheduled, we come into this room, kind of break down the process of that final day where the buyer's coming in, signing their docs, sellers signing their docs, everybody leaves happy. How does that go?
Sure. Well, that's the happy day. That's the fun day. And so everyone gets here. The first thing we have to do is make a copy of the driver's license for the buyer and seller. That's just because we do have to see who they are. It does have to be good, not expired. We have that happen on occasion, and someone might have to run, to the license
DMV.
bureau, and get a new license. But so we do have to have that, and most of the great real estate agents like yourself tell their customer that prior to the closing.
Try to.
So we have that involved. Then we go through the closing documents and we explain what the customer is signing. So we want them to feel comfortable with the process. All of the closers here know the closing packages very well, so we can answer questions. A lot of time the lender will attend the closing as well, so they're here. Everyone that's here is here to support that customer.
About how long on average do closings take?
We schedule an hour. Typically, you can get the buyer and seller to sign during that hour. Now, there are instances where it may take longer than that,
Right.
but that's what we typically schedule.
Yeah, I've got a brother-in-law who's an engineer, and I knew he was going to take a little bit longer reading his documents, so I was smart and had you guys send everything to him a day before,
Yes.
so we got him done in that hour period.
Yes, it's a lot to read.
It
Absolutely.
is. Yeah, there's a ton of documents, but you know, like you said earlier, it's your single largest financial investment. It's good to make sure you have everything taken care of and protected. So, I think those are all the questions that I really have for you today. Is there anything else specifically you'd like to touch on?
I'd like to say that we are located on Eagle Crest Boulevard between Bar Louie and Texas Roadhouse, so it's very convenient. It's a great place to come and have your closing. We will also provide document prep if someone needs a deed. We provide notary services and title searches as well.
Excellent. Yeah, it is a great location with a great view out over the Lloyd Expressway from
Yes.
this room especially. So, Leah, I really appreciate your time today. This is some phenomenal information. I'm sure if anybody's got any questions, they could probably call and pick your brain. What's a good number for them to reach you at?
812-759-5555.
All right, really appreciate that. If you have any additional questions, feel free to give me a call at 812-779-6273, or you can hit me up with an email anytime at aaron@theaaronadvantage.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Aaron Advantage. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with all the videos I post.